Defect in less than 3 weeks or you'll end up dead. Armed Syrian gangs adopt assassinations as a strategy for getting what they want. A colonel with the foreign-backed militant group calling itself the Free Syrian Army says he has given government forces and officials until the end of this month to defect or face assassination. Those who don't will be considered as collaborators in alleged violence by the government. Meanwhile, an officer within the anti-Syrian force says the group is receiving weapons from Lebanon, Turkey and Iraq. The officer's calling for more sophisticated weapons to inflict more damage on Damascus. He says the force has paid thousands of dollars to arms dealers in Iraq and Lebanon to buy Katyusha rockets and anti-tank missiles. Damascus has for long accused the rebels of being terrorists and receiving assistance from Turkey, Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, the Syrian army says it's killed large numbers of anti-government armed men in the west of the country. Earlier reports spoke of a, quote, massacre in Al-Turamisa area in Hama province. Military officials say dozens of arrests were also made and a large quantity of arms seized. Anti-government sources have also confirmed that most of those killed in Turamisa were members of armed gangs. Armed rebels say the killings happened when pro-government forces retaliated following an attack on an army convoy. The head of the UN observer mission to Syria has also confirmed heavy fighting in the village.
What we have verified today is that there was ongoing fighting yesterday involving mechanized unit, involving indirect fire impacts and involving helicopters. This is what we have seen from a distance of 5 to 6 kilometers.
Meanwhile, a booby-trapped car exploded in the Damascus neighborhood of Meza. No word yet on casualties. Syria has been gripped by more than 16 months of unrest, which has left thousands of people dead. Opposition groups blame Damascus for the violence, but the government blames foreign-backed terrorists. To discuss this more, I'm joined from Washington by Dr. Randy Short, a member of Dignity, Human Rights and Peace. Welcome to the program, sir. Mr. Short, I mean,
hello,
many say the recent
you,
massacre in the city of Tiramisu is similar to the Hula massacre in terms of it initially not being investigated and second, the government being blamed. I mean, this comes at a time when the opposition in Syria is not blamed at all. I mean, who are we to believe initially?
Well, people should believe the historical record of these interventions that are inspired by NATO. They created altercations and situations in other societies, and so this seems to fit a pattern. You've got the same old players, the same names. You've got the same. You have Ambassador Ford, who gets dispatched to Syria. He was the same guy that was in Iraq under Negroponte, the guy who started the death groups that were killing people in El Salvador. You have professionals from the West who know how to destroy and destabilize a country. So when I start looking at the personalities on the Western side of the ledger, I have to take a reserved judgment on the government of Syria. Why would they want to kill their own people when they're facing such an onslaught against their state? It would be unwise for the Assad government to do this. So who stands to gain? And it seems as if, to me, those people who do not like the existing government in Syria want to create the kind of chaos to get a humanitarian invasion. They want another Libya. They want another Iraq. They want another Afghanistan. They want something where they can get their Western partners to help them turn over their state to be a colony.
And it's interesting, I mean, we have this Free Syrian Army openly saying that it has given government forces and officials until the end of this month to defect or face assassination. I mean, no condemnation at all for this. Why doesn't the United Nations see this, at least?
Well, the United Nations, let's be honest, it seems as if there's two United Nations. There's a United Nations for the wealthy, powerful, predominantly white nations, which is the one that gets to make all the rules. and then there's one for the Muslim, poor, black, brown, and yellow. They're the ones who get invaded, and all the no-fly zones and all the harsh sanctions are applied to them. You'll never see England or France or Italy or Spain or the United States or Canada, no matter what they do, face sanctions from the UN, or Israel for that matter. So there's clearly a racist, European supremacist policy in the news media and throughout the UN system. In this instance, and also in others, where there seems to be a willingness to not see the sovereign right of Arab, African, and Asian and Latin American nations if it doesn't fit within the economic, political, and social directives of central banks of Europe, the United States, and also multinational corporations.
And what do you make of Syria's neighbors, especially Turkey, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, in adding fuel to the fire in Syria?
First of all, Turkey, they have their own human rights issues with their Kurdish population. They need to be mindful that what they do to Syria could happen to them one day. And I need to go further. The Turks seem to be conflicted over whether they're going to be Asians or Europeans. So they seem to want to be the running dogs of the white countries against an Arab state. The Saudis are thoroughly corrupt, and they're abusive towards their Shia minority. They're killing and torturing their own people. They're trying to hold on to their corrupt regime. And the Qataris, these are the same people who lied about the mercenaries in Libya, and they began getting the oil from Libya. They've just destroyed Libya. Now they want to destroy Syria. I mean, these countries have no credibility, they have no democracy, and Turkey should be very mindful that what they're doing today there could be a blowback where they're Kurdish minority and others could rebel.
And Dr. Randy Short, all in all, what do you see as the final development taking place in Syria? What do you think will happen as the final result?
It is my hope. We see progress with the I say Soviet Union because I grew up here, that Russia is at least starting to take a stand that it's not going to allow another country to be destroyed by this insane Leviathan, that so-called democracy movement of the United States and NATO. Also, I'm hoping that we see other countries recognize that if we do not get a handle on this, we will have a major regional, if not world war. We also see one thing, and that is the Islamic Republic of Iran has been able to be resolute and stand. And the hope is, if Russia prevails, to bring Iran, the key and most honest broker that you're going to get for that region, because that's their ally. There's a Shia minority in Syria that has a relationship with the Shias in Iran. That needs to happen. That is the most stable thing that could happen, because in reality, the whole goal is to undermine Syria, so Iran can be attacked. If Syria can be stabilized by countries refusing to go along with the maniacal drive towards sanctions being driven by AIPAC and other organizations that are Zionistic or anti-Islamic or that want to serve finance capital, then there is a chance for peace to prevail. I do believe that the Syrian people overall have not come out against their government. So what needs to happen, and what is happening, is some people are beginning to see that this is the same old scam that you've seen in several countries, and the world is sick of it.
All right. On that note, we'll leave it there. Many thanks to Dr. Randy Short, member of Dignity, Human Rights and Peace from Washington. Thanks for your time there, sir.